all for joining. So today's session for the next 1 hour, we shall be looking at issues of finances, which I know it's something that is very dear to each one of us. We normally say in banking, financing is like a marriage. How you treat it is how it will give you outcomes, whether it's good or bad. So I think this session is good for us, and that it will also open up our minds just to see what is available out there for us. So we know this junior membership program, which is under the Women on Boards Network, is a young adult program, which consists of youth between the age of 11 to 24 years of age. And it's built on the it's built on the idea of infusing age diversity also into the boardrooms, training and inspiring future board leaders, advising the board on social changes and trends. What we have seen now with the changes that are happening around the world, it's affecting companies, it's affecting governments, it's affecting NGOs, to look into the organizations to see how can they be able to bring diversity even in terms of having the youth as part of their leadership to provide them advisory services. So this is an important space that is coming up. And as Women on Boards, we are preparing ourselves in advance for it so that when those opportunities come, we have people that we can be able to propose. We have people who we can be able to take forward their names so that they can be able to have that opportunity. So having this program is also part of the Women on Boards network to plan for the future and the risks that come with it. We know it's very important to have a pipeline. So even as you look at the different age groups and sets, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, we know that it's important to create a pipeline of board-ready women. So how do we do it? We have to start it now. And so these sessions are supposed to enrich your understanding, enrich your components, and just make you be able to know what is expected of you from a governance point of view, from a leadership point of view, in terms of the integrity that is expected. How do you conduct yourself in an ethical manner? How do you make sure that your business is also, the board that you serve also runs that business in a sustainable manner? Because out of research, we have seen that a lot of our young people today, they want companies that are sustainable and are also taking care of the society as well as the environment. So with that in mind, it means the new guys will play a bigger role in terms of ensuring that we have sustainable companies, not companies that are just there for profit making, but companies that are there taking care of the planet and also the people. So who needs this junior membership? We have juniors in university and college levels who are seeking offices and can get training, leadership, and mentorship. I know I have one of you whom I'm mentoring, Mandy. Welcome, I've seen you. So we are also mentoring some of them. Juniors also can seek to establish their career in this space. And also they can aspire to be future board leaders, and they can also seek to venture into volunteering spaces. Remember, you might not get a board appointment immediately, but sometimes you can be asked to be an advisor or to give a volunteer member service. Be ready to take that. I always say, do not despise small beginnings, because in them you learn a lot, and it also gives you confidence on how best then to build yourself and take care of areas that are weak, so that you can be able to be a much effective board member. So I'll not take much of the time because I'm not the speaker today. We have a speaker who will be taking us through a very interesting subject, of course, on money issues and savings and how we can conduct ourselves in it. And I think that you're going to find it very useful and helpful, because in money, we normally say that time is of essence. So time is your investment. Time is what you take care of. Otherwise, if you don't take care of that time, then you'll find that that money will not give you a good outcome. So I'll hand over now to our moderator for today, for this session, Jackie, so that she can take us through the next session. So welcome, Jackie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate the good introduction you have given our young adults. Actually, this age is between 20 to 25. So these are people who already have touched what it means. They've already touched money. They understand what it means to have money, and they've got wishes to have more money with them. Allow me to introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker is Lillian Kinuthia. Lillian Kinuthia is a high school teacher. She's also a guidance and counseling. She's also a guide. She also provides guiding and counseling. She's a member of NCCK, a civil educator, a mother, and a grandmother. Lillian is a high school teacher with 36 years of experience. Out of the 36 years of experience, 17 years she spent in a mixed day school, right? And 19 years she spent in a girls' boarding school. So she has both experiences of being in a boarding school and also in a mixed school. She served as a guiding and counseling teacher. She has been in charge of school fees and bursaries. She championed the Wings to Fly program under Equity Bank. She was also in charge of raising funds for the needy students and a member of the chaplaincy committee. She is also, she works at National Council of Churches. She provides topical and motivational speaking sessions, civil educator, electoral observer through the interfaith programs. And then finally, she is a proud mother of 7 and 5 grandchildren. So she will be speaking to us from the point of experience, from the point of definitely by the time she has grandchildren, she has children who are between 20 to 25. And I am sure she will be guiding us with skills that we actually can be able to pick from this session and take them on. Now, what do we want you to actually be able to learn? It's very important, as Judy has said, for you to be able to financially plan and manage yourselves. Sometimes you may never get these tips, like some of us perhaps. If you ask me what I did with my first salary, we will all answer it differently. Judy will say her own things. Lillian will say her own things as well. But you can imagine it takes you 30 days to wait for your first salary. So there has to be some goodwill of, maybe very few people will be spending their fare and lunch in that 1 month from money they saved. 90% of people will always get money for their expenses during their first month of work. Why? Because maybe sometimes we just don't have that discipline. What are the most important things that you need to ensure that you have within your life when you already start understanding that you can earn and then you can also spend? And just this afternoon, we were with the teens, 13 to 19, and they are doing amazing things. We are hoping we will also get some great participation from yourselves so that we can share different insights and snippets, and then you can also give us real-life experiences of what is happening around your space. So Lillian, welcome. This group has got 20 to 25 years, so I'm sure they're doing quite amazing things. They also will have had the opportunity to spend money, to earn money, and they also will have had the opportunity to wish that they were millionaires and billionaires. So let's see how we can help them achieve that goal of perhaps being a millionaire or a billionaire. But I'm hoping that there are people who also want financial freedom, a point where they are able and stable to take care of their finances without disturbing anyone or without straining themselves, right? So welcome, Lillian, and we do hope that in this stage, people are already self-reliant and not having to depend on somebody like Lillian who already has children and grandchildren. So that's the freedom we hope you have. Karibu.
Asante sana. Thank you, Jackie, and good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and thank you very much for the introduction, Jackie. It's true, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I've seen it all. Having the money and not having it, using it and misusing it all along. But I thank God that we've come this far. Now, today we're going to discuss about money management. Money management is the process of planning and managing personal financial activities. No, you may have the money, but how do you manage that money? If you allow the money to manage you, you may not be able to achieve much. But as a money manager yourself, we are looking at the income generation. Where are you getting the money from? We're going to look at part 2, spending habits, part 3, investing, and part 4, protection or savings. Those are the major areas that we need to walk through to be able to manage our finances well. Looking at the generation, our income generating activities, it includes salaries, wages, dividends, bonuses, and pensions. Some people farm, therefore their income is gotten from the farm. Others are in the entertainment industry, so we'll still call that as money generating activity. We look at the spending habits. One requires a budget to be able to use their money wisely, because you may have 1,000,000 shillings, but if you don't have a plan on how you're going to use that money, it may end up punishing you. People rise to very high, ranks or positions with a lot of money. They get drunk with the money and they end up ruining themselves. Therefore, it will be very, very important to have a budget. A budget is a financial plan that defines your income and how you spend the finances. That's why we need a budget. Sorry, you may have a lot of money, but you may not use it wisely. So the money will be managing you towards the wrong direction instead of the money working for you as it were. While budgeting, or the reason why we need to budget, it's because it will help us to get a clear picture of the amount of money that we have and what we are going to use it on. We have a full, transparent, and we get a full picture of the amount of money that we have and what we want to use it for. Number 2, the budget will help us to understand our expenses and income so as to manage our money better. At times, we buy things on impulse, but when you have a budget, it will control you. It will direct you on what to do, where, and what time. A budget
Lillian,
also helps one to have a clear idea. Sorry,
Lillian, allow me to interject a bit. We're trying to follow up with the slides. We need to click the slide show so that we can see the full slides.
Okay.
So that it can be on full screen. It's cutting some areas. The slideshow. There's a small, you can see that small, before 91%, click on that button. There's a small button before 91, before the percentage. Not that one, slightly, yes, that. Yes, that one. Yes, now we are good to go. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. So we were on point 2. Did you see the first one? Did you capture the first one? Income generation.
Yes, income, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, which includes sources of salary, sources of income such as salaries, wages, dividends, bonuses, pensions, and maybe income from the activities that we do, like farming. Another one would be doing business. So we look at that as an income generating project. So that is in the first part. We need to have the income before we make the budget.
Do we
Now,
want to find out,
sorry,
Lillian, if these people are getting some income as well?
sorry.
We want to find out if the members, the participants are getting some income.
Yeah, maybe they'll tell us.
Please chat us and let us know if you're generating any income, and how are you generating? Is it salaries? What are you doing? You can use the chat section to just give us feedback on that. Lillian, you can proceed.
Yeah. So we have the income, and now the second part was on spending habits. We require a budget for us to be able to spend the money, or the money that we have, to spend the income. Budgeting will help us with clarity and full transparency of our financial situation. Because sometimes you may organize to buy a car and the money that you have is actually below the amount that can do what you want to do. A budget also helps us to understand our expenses and income. I was saying budgeting helps us to understand our expenses and income so as to manage our money better. It helps one to have a clear idea of how much one has to spend and how much to save. That if you have maybe 5,000 shillings, how much are you going to spend and how much are you going to save out of that? When preparing a budget, we have a clear idea of how much one has to spend and how much is supposed to be saved. We also need to have a clear financial goal, both short-term and long-term goals. There is the rent that you need to pay monthly. So that one is a short-term goal because you need to pay that rent monthly, but then you'll have a long-term goal whereby you may have your own house and therefore you'll have to plan on how you'll get that house. Spending habits are classified into either cash spending or credit spending. When you have the cash at hand, you can use it immediately. But there is money that you keep in the bank or you use a credit card on spending. So that one is still supposed to be budgeted for because many fall in the temptation of using the credit card irrationally, or rather impulse shopping. It is good also to elaborate our expenditure on the basis of basics and secondary expenditure. The basics will include food, clothing, and shelter. Then in part 2, the secondary spending will include entertainment and whatever else you want to do with that money. It is just a want, not a need. Their needs and their wants. Many young people fall in the temptation of what they want rather than what they need. So it is good to budget so that you can know this weekend, maybe I'll go out with my friends and maybe we'll have a cup of tea, but that does not mean you'll be going out every day. So that one is just for that particular time. It's not a need. It is just a want, just wanting to feel good, and therefore you move on and have that nice time with your friends. On the third part, because we had talked about income generating, spending habits, and then investing. This is where most of us are challenged on. We tend to use the whole amount that we have and we forget there is a tomorrow. So in investing, we purchase assets that are expected to generate some income later. It will be more than what we put in. We can plow in maybe a little money, and that money will generate or will generate some more returns. So in investing, we actually project for long term. You may have a little money, you use it, but then there is that which you are investing so that you'll be, multiplying or increasing as you move on. And then in part 4, we had the protective or savings, which is keeping cash for future use. That one you'll keep in material, maybe you can keep it in the bank, you can keep it in terms of money as compared to the investment. The investment you will keep, maybe you can buy a piece of land at a lower price and later you may sell it at a higher price. I realize I'm talking to students who are in the university. So their investment could be in shares or maybe in cooperatives, where the money will continue multiplying, will keep multiplying. But for the savings, that will be a protective, money that's set apart for any eventuality or maybe for a rainy day. And this one can be kept maybe physically in the house. Sometimes you keep a little money just in case something happens. You may want to take an Uber and you don't have cash at hand, or maybe your credit card doesn't have anything. So that little money will be used in the house. But then you also need to have some savings in the bank. We need to know how to save. How do we save? Step 1, we are expected to live within our means, to avoid buying or doing things because someone else or a friend has done it. This can be done by learning the art of self-control or delaying gratification. Most students or people between the age of 21 to 25, 28 will do things just because they have seen their friends doing it. Others will even want to buy expensive shoes that they don't really have to, but they're buying that for gratification and also maybe to show the others that they belong to a class. Therefore, they use their money anyhowly without really organizing themselves. So avoid buying or doing something just to impress people or just because your friends have done it. Others will even stay in very expensive quarters or apartments, yet they do not have a steady source of income, or whatever little you have, you will want to use it at once and forget. But that will bring you trouble because you'll not be able to go to the end. And it's also good to know where your money goes. Expenses should not exceed your income. Hence, the need for preparing a budget. Keep your recurrent expenditures as low as possible. Talk of things like rent, electricity, and water. Maybe you could avoid very expensive rental premises if you can't avoid it. I mean, if you cannot afford it, or if you are looking forward to doing something bigger, maybe to becoming a landlord, then you'll have to stay in apartments, okay, decent, but that are costing less. You'll also have to cut down on your electricity, like putting off gadgets that you do not need and not leaving the lights on all the time. You'll do the same for the water because this is a recurrent expenditure. You'll do it every month, you'll do it every week because you need the electricity and you need the water. But there is a way you can save on that water so that you can have a little money remaining. Avoid buying things that you do not need. For example, if you have one car in the family, or you have two vehicles in the family, you could fuel one if you're going the same direction so that the expenses are not that high. Recurrent expenditure is expenditure that does not assist in the creation or acquisition of fixed assets. So if we drive two vehicles to work, we are not acquiring, we are not saving, we are not adding value. So it's good, maybe we use one vehicle and we save. Maybe we have 3 or 4 classmates coming from the same direction and going to the same college. It will be easier to use maybe one vehicle and save on something. That way you'll have saved, because this is a recurring expenditure and you're not expecting it to increase. You're not saving by using the recurring expenditure. And it is also important for you to pay yourself. This means from the little money that you have, you need to save for any eventuality, for an emergency. So if you're a student maybe in college and you are given money maybe by your parents, or you're working somewhere, you need to have a little money that will help you, cross a bridge. It does not mean that you get a little money and then you start enjoying yourself or saying, nimefanya kazi sana, wacha nijiambie pole. Hii yenye nimelipwa nitatumia yote kwa manufaa yangu mwenyewe. It is important that you spare that and maybe save, for a holiday much, much later. It is important also, as you make your budget, to set your priorities. It is not easy to pursue many different goals all at once and achieve all of them. Say if you want to start a business, maybe you want to start selling, you want to start a stationery shop, you want to sell maybe the parts of a laptop. What do you call that shop? You want to start a small shop. You may have to start with a few items, and you cannot be able to start that shop and start a kiosk that is selling mandazi at the same time. So you need to have one and pursue it. Pursue one goal at a time. Once you achieve that one, you can only expand it and make it better. You can grow from one source than when you are chasing two different goals. It's also important to avoid debts as much as possible unless they are very necessary. Don't take loan to start business. It is important that you start with the little that you have, what you have already saved over the time. Then you can start your small business with it. And maybe if you want to expand it, now that you've tested the waters and you've seen that this business has the ability to grow, then you can take a loan to expand it, knowing the steps that you'll take to be able to pay that debt. You can forego debts that will take a long time. It's not healthy to take a loan maybe of about 300,000 shillings that will take you 3 to 4 or 5 years to pay. It is good to just, take a loan that you are able to service within a given time. It's also very important to guard your health. Subscribe to maybe NHIF or a medical insurance scheme so that in case of any emergency, you are not stressed financially. Dangers of not subscribing to a medical scheme are that you may end up using all the money that you have invested in a business on health matters, and that will bring you down. So after recovering, you may have nothing to fall back to. So it is very, very important that you invest in a good insurance. If you don't find ways to manage your money, other people will find ways to mismanage it for you. So it is important that we take care of the money that we have. Many a times we think we have to start so big to be able to stand, but a long journey starts with one step. So it is important that you start with the little that you have. Do not despise the humble beginnings. You could have come maybe from a background where everybody is looking up to you for help. And at the same time, you need to pursue your education. And at the same time, you need to run a business. It will be very, very important for you to work on a budget, because we also know of friends and family members who will prey on you. They will want you to keep assisting them. And out of a good heart and roho safi, you will end up using everything that you have on them, and you will not do anything, you will not amount to anything. I had a friend who was helping the family to educate the siblings. And long after the siblings had gone through the university and were now working, he was stuck. He got married late. So when he asked the brothers to assist him pay school fees for his children, they asked him what he had been doing all that time. I thought that was not very kind, because he had been assisting them, but the only mistake he made, he did not save his money. He did not look at his, long-term goals. He did not realize that he'll need to have a family, that he'll have children that will expect him to assist them, or he'll have to take care of. So he thought, just as he was carrying the burden for the family would also come through for him and carry his burden. So it is important at whatever level we are, let's be able to go through the 4 sections. Let's be able to generate some money. Let's be able to save, and let's be able to use the money wisely, even as we invest. There are advantages of saving and having a budget. When the unexpected happen, you are able to sort yourself. Number 2, you are able to grow your own wealth without a lot of strain, without depending on other people. Because when you start saving small, then you learn how to take care of the little, to manage the little that you have. And when you manage the little effectively, then you are definitely going to grow, and you'll have wealth that will sustain you. It's also good to know how to use your money. When you save, you know how to use your money. You'll not be running to the bank to withdraw. You'll not put your credit card close to you, so that when you feel you're thirsty and you need a bit of a kanywaji, you just dash somewhere and quench your thirst. Better still, in the universities, sometimes there are events in various places. When you take care of your money, when you are saving your money and you have a goal for saving, then you'll not be tempted, you'll not fall in the temptation of taking that money and using it maybe for just a bash or a gig that is on one Sunday afternoon, and drink, and and will not add value to you. So you will know how to use your money. Saving and budgeting protects you from misuse of money, and further assists you to avoid mob psychology that influences one to drinking sprees, drug addiction. Unaishi maisha ovyo. You use your money with financially stable pests. People who have their money, who have their properties, and will still want to use the little that you have just because you are unable to budget, you are unable to save. Avoid greed for money. Avoid greed for money that you have not worked for. Many a times we get into the temptation of betting. I don't count betting as a way of saving or as a way of generating income. And I think we've observed in the recent past that some people go betting, or they borrow money and then go betting, and they don't win the bet. So there is somebody pursuing you to pay his debt. There is a responsibility waiting for you. You're supposed to pay your house rent. You're supposed maybe to pay your college fee. But because you took all the money and invested in betting, I call it wrong investing if you're the one gambling, Maybe the gambler is investing well because, of course, he'll get money. But for the one gambling, I find it to be a poor way of betting or investing, because many have resulted or have ended up losing their lives because they cannot be able to recover the money they used on betting. Dirty money will never pay. It will never build. If one gets money through drugs, through immorality, that is not clean money. I would, as a generation that we are counting on, a generation that is coming on board, a generation that we are calling leaders on board, we work to get clean money. I'm sometimes devastated when I see girls of around 23 years, 24, saying they're looking for a person or a partner who is financially stable, who drives big cars, who has a big house, who can, support them financially. I'm very disappointed, because before this person became that man with a big car, before he is able to give her a bit of this, he has worked for it. So it's wrong for us to just wake up one morning and to imagine we're going to get a sponsor who is going to buy you a V8, and at the end of it, I'm sure many of us know the bad stories that have been going on around the country. I think in the recent past, girls of around 24 years and even the young men are getting lured into activities that are dehumanizing them. You may get that money, but who are you at the end of it all? Do you have that pride that I worked for this, that I was able to save for this, and here I am today? I think we need to just come out as young people. Let's work. Let's earn clean money and be financially independent. Because when you get your own money, when you work for the money that you have, then you are an independent person. Nobody will come to you asking zile dawa nilikupatia uuze, uliuza au haukuuza, or hili gari unaloendesha ni la mme wangu, because by the time that gentleman is buying you a V8, he definitely has a family somewhere. Suppose that other person, goes amok and wants to destroy you. You may have a good life shortly, but you'll not have your own freedom. You'll not have your own independence. You'll not use your money the way you want to use it. And morally, you are finished. You're not stable. Pillars of financial independence include saving or accumulating wealth. You need to invest. You need to be disciplined financially. That is brought about by making a budget, and avoid excessive liabilities. Avoiding excessive liabilities is like you don't take up baggages that are not yours. Just carry what you're able to to finance, what you are able to do. Sometimes you want to help everybody in the village and your pocket does not allow you to do that. So it is important that you only take that baggage that you are able to carry. Don't overburden yourself, and don't budget beyond what you have. Why? It will stress you. It will bring you down. It will take your joy. So as a young person, your joy does not necessarily come from money, or from the amount of money that you have, but from the way you are using your money. Finally, practice saving before you consume. You want to put on a good shirt, save before you consume. Number 2, set a goal and aim at achieving it. What is it that you want? Look at the end from the beginning and then walk through that path to where you intend to be. You intend to be a landlord, but currently you're living in a rental. What will you do to to become a landlord. Of course, you'll start by saving, you'll start by investing. You may buy a piece of land, buy, and then you will maybe put the building material there, kidogo kidogo, and finally your structure will come up from the money that you'll have saved, so that the fundi will have money from you, money that you have saved. Start small, but aim higher. It is possible. You can start with little money. Maybe you could start by hawking, but later you may have a kiosk, and then finally you may have that shop that you really covet, that shop that you really want. Be consistent and committed. Sometimes we are consistent, but we are not committed. But how will the two work? You need to persist on what you're doing. At times it works, it looks fine. Today you've had a good turnover, but are you committed to that? Do you feel like today I earned a lot and therefore kesho ninaambia mwili pole, let me sleep until saa 4? You need that commitment. Let that commitment wake you up every morning and be consistent. If you're selling mayai boilo or you are selling hot dogs, just make sure you are consistent and you're committed. Why? Because if your clients miss you on a particular day, then they look for another place where they are going to get what you are supposed to supply them, and you do not get, because if it's a need, if they need that particular item on that day and you're not available, you have lost a customer. Let's be consistent. Let's be committed. Make a saving habit. Let be like breathing in and breathing out. At the end of the day, I'm taking this percentage of what I've earned to be able to save. Not because I've been forced to save, but it is a habit. Like you wake up in the morning and wash your face, let it be a habit. The next point, earn your money through legal means. I'm just summarizing what I had said earlier on. Earn your money through legal means. Don't try dubious ways of getting your money. Kugonga watu, conning people. Hiyo pesa haitakusaidia. And then next, never give up. Keep trying in whatever you venture in. It may be slow, but persistence wears out resistance. It may be low. You'll get 100 shillings today. Tomorrow you may get 70. Don't give up. Continue. Maybe on the third day you'll get 150, and the following day you'll get maybe 200. It may be low, but persistence wears out resistance. Keep working. I had said this, avoid borrowing money to start a business, but you can borrow to expand what you have already started, because there are tremors or there are shakeups, there are ups and downs when you are starting. There are teething problems. You may think starting a certain business or venturing in a certain venture, you are going to just rise one day and stand. No. It is tricky. Businesses are tricky. Whatever venture you are getting into, everywhere is tricky. So don't give up when you fail the first time. Please maintain, that consistency. Sometimes it is low, sometimes it is high. There are those good habits that you can develop. I'll wake up in the morning, I'll go to my shop, or I'll go to my whatever business salon or whatever. I'll go there, I'll choose to be of good cheer the whole day, and I'll not, grumble, and I'll be grateful to God for whatever I'll earn on that day. That is a good habit. Decide to be prayerful. Okay, I'm a Christian, and I know prayers really keep me sane, stable, and really focused. So if you want, maintain good habits of being prayerful and also being thankful in whatever you're earning. What percentage are you giving to God? And maybe at some time you'll even need to give charity, because God is a
Lilian,
gracious.
I think we are losing you.
You're losing me? Jackie? Hello? Jackie? Hello.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying it is good to develop good habits such as prayer, giving tithe and charity. It's also good to give charity. Then it is good to assess self. Am I walking towards the right direction? Am I doing what I set out to do? So it's good to sit back and assess yourself. I started at point A, I intended to go to point B. Am I at point C before going through B, or am I at D without going through C? So it is good to have self-assessment. It's also important to get a reliable person whom you can account to. I think on this point, the Women on Board group is a good one because we are mentoring the young people. So it is good for these mentees to be accountable to us, to tell us exactly what they're doing so that we can be able to assist them. Are you on the right track? Have you lost it, or where do you need help? So that we can help them to achieve the best that they ought to. And then it is important also to accept positive criticisms. Some people give up just because you are told haukufunga hivyo vifaa vizuri, you did not trap for me, au bei yako ni ghali, au vitu vyako havina quality nzuri. So you get discouraged and say, hata hawa wateja wangu hawafurahii kazi yangu. Labda umetengeneza mahamri, you are selling mandazi, and they say jana ilikuwa na chumvi nyingi. Accept and apologize. Tell them, kesho nitahakikisha sitaweka chumvi nyingi, nitaweka sukari nyingi badala ya chumvi nyingi. And then avoid get rich quick scams. When the deal is too good, think twice. There are too many scams these days. Somebody will come, maybe even with fake goods, and sell them to you, and your customers buy them. Then your customers run away because they did not, intend to get low quality. So maintain standards. Whatever you're doing, maintain standards. Don't use shortcuts. And I think I'll insist on that. Let's not use shortcuts. Let's use the staircase, not the lift. Yeah, that's about all, unless there is a question.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Thank you so much for sharing a lot of insights, slightly deep, because we do have members here who have the capability of getting money. So we do appreciate that you have gone a little deeper. Please share with us any questions that you may have, so that Lillian can be able to pick that up. But I just want to give a recap. I think Lillian has shared quite a lot of things. So one, I think financial management, I have been reading a little about it. And actually they said the discipline should start from 3 years. So again, just do your calculations and see somebody who will have started their financial discipline at 3 years, where would they be by the time that your age today, right? So it's never too late to start something. So again, if it's not that financial discipline, if you're starting it now, where do you need to start? So that means you may need to make a few more sacrifices. So yes, money does not grow on trees. So I think you had answered where some of you get your income from. There are people who are doing internships. There are those ones who are doing business. There are others maybe who are still receiving pocket money. I'm not so sure, but please let us know. It's very important that you know how to get in money and also budget your money. So I think Lillian has been very clear on the area of what you need to do when you're budgeting. Please know you cannot spend what you don't have. And one of the disciplines that we are normally given is that it's not a good thing to spend as soon as you get money. You need to take some steps back and try and calm yourself and put down things, try remember things so that you don't finish your money all at once, yeah? And then, of course, you have to ensure that you save, yeah? And one of the good things about saving is you if you take time to plan your money, then you can also take time to spend the money. Now, if you budget, then you know how much you're saving and how much you're spending. So keep track. Keep track of what you're getting. Always ensure that you keep track of what you get, what you spend, because at the end of the day, if you do realize that you're spending 50% of what you have earned on expenses, then you may need to reduce. So I think the discipline comes when you find out that, oops, I think I'm spending too much. And I think those are lessons that we learn. I am one of the people who, trying to be financially disciplined. And so I track every spend. And I realized that because of comfort, you always are getting a rider to get everything. So, you need the rider, and you have specific riders, 2 or 1 or 2. So the amount of money that I was spending on the riders, when I put it by end of the month, I decided to reduce it, right? And that means that sometimes there are things that I had to do for myself. So again, what is it that in your tracking, you will identify that you need to reduce? It's not so bad to have a wish list, because it only makes your targets go higher and higher. So what do you want to get, and what is reasonably what you want to get? I think about, should I say about maybe 5 to 7 years, there was a small sort of machine called, what is it? A MacBook, not a MacBook, a Surface. I really wanted that Surface. And that is because it's like a laptop, but it's the size of an iPad. And I had to overachieve my targets that year at work. And my target was 150%. So when I got 150%, I really did well. And I said, you know what? Of course, I was saving for it. Definitely at a time you want to ask yourself, after saving all this money, do I really want to spend it? But one of the things that I did is I asked myself, what am I going to do to get back the money that I have spent? So I make sure that I bought it, but the reason of buying it was, 1, I rewarded myself, but 2, I was going to use it to get more income. So I needed to look for what else can I do? And I needed to convince myself that I could actually use it to make some money. So have a wish list, reward yourself, but be reasonable, and then make the most out of your savings. What is your savings? What are your savings doing? Are they just sitting somewhere? So there's something called treasury bills, treasury bonds, money market. Have you heard about those things? Those are opportunities. And those are opportunities that you can start with very little money. So don't let your savings just sit in. Make sure that your savings you're making the most, you're milking your savings, okay? I think finally, I would want to say share. For me, I have taught my kids to have 3 jars, something I read, where they have a jar for savings. So they do, because we save elsewhere, so we write down something. So we have these sticky notes. So if I'm saving 20 bob today, I write 20 shillings and I throw it in the jar for 20 bob. If I am spending, they want to go, and especially during their birthdays, they usually want to spend so much money unnecessarily. So they write, how much have I spent? So you take a sticky note and write what you have spent and throw it in the jar. But there's 1 jar for charity. There's 1 jar for charity. So that 1 jar for charity is out of your money. How much are you giving to charity? And I allow them to make a decision. Sometimes they buy boots for their friends who are not able to get. Sometimes they buy a packet of lollipops for a friend of theirs who's perhaps from a less fortunate place on their birthday. There's various things. Sometimes they ask us, parents, to add on something because they feel, hey, mama, cake is expensive. Hey, 2,000. I can't get 2,000, or I don't have 2,000 for my charity. So can you give me some? I'm happy to remove 500. But that is what we are teaching them is sharing, right? And charity is very, very important. So you right now at 20 to 25 years, what are you doing to share? What is it that you're doing to share? And there are different ways that you can also get money. I was very impressed to see that someone has a stipend from internship. When I started my career, I did internships which were unpaid, and I was happy to do that because I was getting experience. So sometimes we say that we are not able to get jobs because they ask for 5 years of experience. Who told you we will not have 5 years of experience? So in my house, one of my kids is my PA. So they've got to plan me. Like now I had this session and I told them I need to be ready by 3 o'clock. They've got to plan me. I need my laptop where it needs to be. Then we need to plan, right? If she does her work well, there's a stipend. So how many more people need people who can help them plan? How many of your friends, how many of your colleagues, how many of your aunties? Where are you doing internship to get experience so that you can ask somebody and tell somebody that all I need is a stipend, but I'm happy to volunteer myself for this, so that you can get the experience. So those are some things that you can actually do. There's a question here. Thank you for leading this discussion. Do you consider money market? Okay, I hadn't seen this, but thank you so much for bringing it up. Do you consider money market funds good investments? And may you please give example of realistic timelines when it comes to savings? Finally, what is a good healthy amount to have for an emergency spending? So I'll just take a few things on that. Emergency spending for people who work, you're usually told it is 6 times your gross pay. So if you're working, you need to save 6 times your gross pay for emergency. That is, ouch, that's what you need to have. Then somebody else says realistic timelines. I want to give you one tip that I have undertaken and had goals for the last 2 years, which has worked for me. There's something called 52-week of savings. You can Google it on the internet and you can save what you want, 100 shillings per week, 100 shillings per month, whatever. But dedicate yourself to ensuring that whatever commitment you have made to contribute per week, you are giving it. So no excuses that I don't have a job and all that. Look for something to do. This afternoon, we were talking to the teens, 13 to 19-year-olds. And apparently some are selling cupcakes and they're very young, standard 8. There's a team that already has lip glosses. I think Kentai is going to share that. People are doing so much things, washing their parents' cars and getting money. So what is it that you're passionate about? What is that unique talent, unique skill that you have that you can use it and earn anything? Remember, business is tough. So if it is within your passion, then you go all heart out for it. So my advice is don't sit there, right? Look for something, go out for it. Lillian, would you want to answer the questions on money markets? And also she asks, so do you consider money market funds good investments? Number 1. And number 2, she's asking, may you please give examples of realistic timelines when it comes to savings? Lillian?
I think you're in a better position to assist me in that one. I'm enjoying myself now.
You're enjoying yourself now.
Yeah, listening to you. Kindly answer that for me.
Money markets is a good way of saving money, little money. So money markets, you open it with as little as 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, and then it earns you interest. And normally it is good because you save your money and put it somewhere. Now, one of the disciplines that I learned in money markets, and I'll teach you this. So my 52-week challenge, I contribute an X amount of money per week. So let's say 100. From my salary, I then remove, if that month I'm supposed to remove 400 shillings, at the end of the month when I get my salary, I remove the 400 shillings, I send it to money markets. Then the next month, I'll remove the total amount I send to money markets. At the end of the month, I usually have an X amount plus interest. So my savings is doing something, right? And that is because they are different products. So I have put a timeline that I want one. For example, I'll tell you maybe there's a product that is for wealth management, which the interest is higher. Now that wealth management, the minimum amount you can put is 1 million. So assume you say in 5 years, I will start the wealth management plan. then you need to have different sources of how you get the 1 million in the 5 years. So I can say 1, money markets. I can say 2, treasury bills or bonds. So you can also open a CDS account. You can go to any bank, they will help you. Open an account, or simple, you guys are still young, walk to Central Bank of Kenya, tell them you want to open a CDS account, find out how you can get treasury bills or treasury bonds. It's also a good way of saving money. Remember, you have put a target. For example, I've given you a target of 1 million in 5 years. In years. You can reduce it to a target of 1 million in 2 years. One of my mentees has decided she's helping people do their CVs at 500 shillings. She books you on Zoom for 40 minutes. Zoom is free. She's at home. So she bought fiber MiFi, which is 6,400. So we did the calculations with her. I was very amazed at her steps. So it's 6,400 for the MiFi. She pays 1,000 shillings every month, and she spends 1,000 shillings on tokens. Now, what she does for her electricity, what she does is now she's asking you for 40 minutes. You get into Zoom for free. She has a dongle which gives her 30 Mbps per month, which is more than enough, and she pays 1,000 shillings for it. So 500 shillings is what she spends, for 40 minutes with you. And she'll guide you on what you need to do with your CV. You will do whatever the recommendations are. If you want another session, you will book her. She started this, I think, in May. She's telling me she's getting 3,000 shillings average per day. If she calculates, Monday she can have 1 session, Saturday she can have 5. On average, it's 3,000. So she told me she's not going back to work post-COVID, because she was asking me, Jackie, seriously. And I said, okay, I understand, but you need to make sure that there's stability. So she told me it's okay. The next sessions I'm going to do is going to be still 500 shillings. And now I'll help people on how they need to answer interview questions. And I told myself, brilliant. I mean, she's already thinking of her product number 2. Yeah? Are these things within your control? Yes, no. A few years ago, my kids used to change internet password every other time. And I would ask them, what's happening? Every time you guys change the password, they say, Mom, you guys don't use internet and you pay for it. So we allow the neighbors' children to use internet per week. So they pay us 200 shillings every week. So if somebody has not paid, we change the password. Then once we change the password until they pay is when we give them the new password. Now, as a parent, you want to say, okay, but now they are already making their money. It's true, the whole day we are away. We are not using the internet. So they got a better way of making use of the internet and getting money. So I said, let's write down your customers. Let's see how much. Let them collect. We put them in your jars. These were less than 11-year-olds making money. So what excuse do we have between age 20 to 25? So short term, I've told you the 52-week challenge. I've told you savings. You can actually make sure that you don't let your savings sit somewhere, right? And then what can you do with yourselves? When we were still young, I was in class 6. My siblings were in 5, 4, 7. What used to happen is we would wash carpets for the neighbors and would charge them, right? There's a child, my colleague's daughter makes cupcakes and he comes with them to the office and he sells them to us. There is another lady who goes to the salon with her younger daughter and she helps to undo hair, to make hair for the younger kids, and she's getting 200, 300 in a day and going home with it and saving it. So what excuse do you have? There's too much information on YouTube. On Google. Google is the answer of almost everything. Are you using that? Now we have phones that are smart. In case you don't, Safaricom is saying you can actually get a phone, pay 20 shillings per day for 9 months, but of course it's a smartphone. So what excuse do we have? What excuse do we really, really have? So we hope, we cannot see any question. We hope that we have given you the snippets, the insights and the tips that should enable you to challenge yourself and start saving and spending wisely. Yeah. Mandy, thank you. I hope I have given justice and to your response. I mean, to your question. Any other person who's got a question for us? Any other person who's got a question? I never used to be so good in financial management. Please tell yourself that you can start. I think I just needed to accept and say, I need to start this. And that's what I did. And so the charity part is very, very important. You never know who you're helping. Maybe the person you're helping, you're the only person helping them in this world. You never know who you're touching. So that other third arm of charity is very, very, very important. Any other questions for us? Okay, I can see no questions. I hope you're super happy. Please say something. If you're super happy, put your hand up so that Lillian can see and feel that she has added some wisdom to yourselves. Thank you so much, Margaret. I hope that you have gotten some great insights. If you have, put your hand up. We will for sure have another session, round 2, and we will want to find out what you will do differently. Yeah? Yeah, so you can also use the chat to tell us what are you going to do differently? Has the session been beneficial to you? Have you learned something? Are you going to start doing something? And Women on Boards is there to help you. In case you need any advice, you can always look up to us. Kentai, do you want to play the video of Grace? Grace is and her friends have begun a very interesting venture where they are making lip gloss and they are selling. She has quite some good orders. In the last 3 days, it's been great for them. They are sourcing their products, the raw products from, I think, the US. She said something like that. They're a team of 3 and they're happy with that business venture. So we wanted to share the video with you guys so that you can actually see that this is reality. People have started doing something, and COVID time has enabled us to just reflect and think about what else we can do differently. The session has been awesome. Thank you. Looking forward to the next session. Someone else. Okay, so let's go to the video, and then I'll read the final comment. Kentai, we can proceed. Thank you for that. So that's handmade lip gloss. You've seen there are 3 young ladies. They have begun their journey for business, and of course they told us that they're doing really well. So we do hope that that gives you some motivation and boosting. Finally, not a question but just a comment. I really appreciate the session. Lillian was my high school teacher. You see. Somebody called Rebecca Daly says Lillian was her high school teacher. Thank you so much, Mwalimu. I've learned a lot. So, Lillian, I'm told once a teacher, always a teacher.
Forever.
All right. Okay. So thank you, everyone. It's now 6:17, slightly past the time that we wanted to host you. We will now ask you to turn on your videos to allow Kentai, who is our host today, to take some photos. And then from there, we can go. Somebody was at Mendy's machine and is just running away. Please come back. So let's have our videos on. Oh, okay. Okay, Mandy, you're back. Thank you. Videos on, please. We want to take as many photos as possible. And then this team, I'm really interested to know what you're going to do differently. So when we have another session, we'll try and follow up with yourselves to see what have you done differently with the tips that Lillian has shared with us today. She took quite some time to prepare for you. So please make her proud. Start something, do something, be financially responsible. One day when you meet me or Lillian somewhere and you have done something really nice, because you've seen our faces, we may not have seen all your faces. Please say hi to us and tell us that, I listened to your sessions. You people gave me some insights. I have started this, and now this is what is happening. Please always just give that feedback. You can also share your feedback with Women on Boards Network and just tell them how the new insights or businesses that you may have decided to start, how well they are doing. Here, so Kantai, you tell us when you have enough, when you have your photos. However, she's saying, please, your videos, your videos, your videos. Okay, we have seen quite a number. We have seen quite a number. Okay. All right, so I hope somebody's doing dinner and negotiating a salary at the end of it. Just make sure it is a 3-course meal. Take your time, set the table. You know, I have a friend of mine who goes to Mr. Price to buy different things. You know, they have so many nice little things, leather for you, House of Leather, to pick nice little things so that you can set up your dinner in the house, you know. Just make sure maybe you do some soup and then the main course and then some dessert. And then you tell somebody, your parents, if you're staying with your parents, to give you a few coins. Make money, look for ways that you can actually make money. One day you can deep clean the whole house. Make sure that when guys get in, they just feel the freshness and the nice look. That's a nice way of also getting money. Kantai, have you had enough of the photos?
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure hosting you from Women on Boards Network. We are excited to build the next leaders, and you being one of them, we hope that you use these skills to enable you take your next steps. It's been lovely. Thank you so much, Lillian, for spending your whole afternoon with us. We truly appreciate Mwalimu, and always a teacher. We will still look up to you to share more insights with us. There's quite a number of things I think we'll be looking out to you to come and talk to us more now about guidance and counseling. It's a bit difficult for us to survive with our mothers and fathers in the house at this time, because we are all there and they're seeing all the wrong things. So maybe we need some guidance to see how do we survive within COVID in these houses together without fighting the whole day. And there's a lot more things that you can share with us. We are truly grateful. Judy, are you still there? Judy is my chair in my small work group. Okay, so I will close the session on behalf of Women on Boards Network. Thank you so much. Do have a beautiful, beautiful evening, Thursday evening. Enjoy your weekend. Please make sure that there's one thing that you have taken from Lillian's session today that you're going to implement. Asanteni sana, kwaheri, stay safe and make money.